Allison Adams. I was born and raised in Red Oak, Iowa. I've been a member of the UCC church there since I was about 6 or 7. I got back at the end of October from 2 years in Cameroon in West Africa. And I was a Peace Corps volunteer, and I'm here to talk to you guys a little bit today about my service and my village, which was Batsi in Cameroon.
So that's how you work in the conversation. Well, I'm Allison and
So I have a little bit about Peace Corps. Also, if you guys have questions as we're going through, just shout them out. It is a U.S. government organization, worked at the development of other countries, and their 3 goals are to help promote, to help the people of interested countries in meeting their need for trained men and women, to help promote a better understanding of Americans on the part of the people served, and to help promote a better understanding of other peoples on the part of Americans. So, the actual work, project work, is only 30% of our actual job, and the other part is cultural exchange. So, representing America and American culture to, in my case, Cameroonians, and then during and after my service, responsibly representing Cameroonian culture to Americans. So, they say that you serve for 2 years, but the job is never really done, because we're always doing that 3rd goal. Okay, so where in the world is Cameroon? Because when I got my invitation, I was like, Cameroon, is that one of those South American countries? It's not. It's right here in West Africa. So it's kind of like if it's shaped like a hand right in the corner there. And I do sometimes just say that I was serving in Africa for simplicity's sake, but I added this slide to drive home the point that Africa is a huge, diverse continent. Like, it can fit China, the United States, India, Italy, all inside of it. There are over 50 countries. In Cameroon alone, there are over 250 languages spoken. So I try not to generalize for Cameroon even, because my experience was very different than even some other volunteers in the same country as me. But especially not for Africa, because it's just a huge, huge place.
Nigeria on it.
Nigeria is right here. So we shared a border with Nigeria. Boko Haram was an issue.
Yeah.
Okay, so Cameroon has the nickname Africa in miniature because it really includes a bunch of different climates. I was right here in the west region, in the high plains, in the mountains. But on this side of the country is jungle, heavy forests, pygmy populations. The north is the Sahel, deserty. Right through here, there's savanna. You have a beautiful coastline. There's a mountain range that divides the country in half right about here, and the cultural differences are pretty big between those two. I was in the Grand South, so people were primarily Christian or animist, but in the northern part of the country, they were primarily Muslim.
What is animist?
Animist means they practice their own traditional religions.
How did it all end up one country?
Colonialism. It was occupied by Germany and then shared by France and England. And then these 2 regions actually speak English. We're part of Nigeria at one time, but in the 1960s, they officially joined Cameroon and have been one country since 1961. But yeah, so settlers came in and just drew lines on a map and put a bunch of different cultures together, different cultures and environments. So like I said, there are over 250 languages. I read an article when I was over there that if you're an American and you randomly got in a taxi with someone, there's a 97% chance that you would speak the same language as that person, the same maternal language. And in Cameroon, there is a 3% chance that you would speak the same original language. So for development, that is very tricky. I don't know if any of you speak a second language. When I went to Cameroon, that was my first time speaking a second language. But it's very hard to express yourself. And so if you're thinking about getting projects done when two people are speaking in their second or even third language. It just adds another layer of difficulty.
Did you learn the dialect that we're going to, is that your second language, or?
I learned French, and then I learned a little bit of the dialect from my village. It's called
But
Goumana.
French is more predominant?
Did they speak French?
Yes, I was in a French-speaking region. When I was in my village, Batier, they spoke Batier. It was called Goumala, and it was tonal. It is not a written language. It's never been written, so they don't have any books or resources. I picked up a little bit of it. I can greet people. If you were a group of Cameroonians in my village, I start out every meeting with my greeting in patois, which is Ojile Sokopombe, Zezumba Alice, Gufa Etazumi, Gufa Nonye, which is good morning, welcome, my name is Alice. Allison was kind of hard to pronounce, so I went by Alice. I'm from the United States and I work in agriculture. And people just really
They
appreciate
French
that.
because I heard it has a name.
Yes. So they don't have a word in their local language for United States. So that isn't
Did you speak French before? Have you taken to be French?
I took it in high school and knew like cat, dog, my name is Allison, but I really learned it when I went over there. Yeah, it was rough, but very, very glad I did it. My village was about 2,000 people and it was very sparsely populated. So this is a view from one of the mountains in my village. And I know these look like just like little white dots, but they're actually silver tin roofs of the mud brick houses in my village. So that kind of shows you like, it just wasn't very concentrated. It was very spread out. My ethnic group, my tribe is the Bamileke. So this is the traditional Bamileke clothing. Like I said, I think if you ask anyone there, they will say they're Christian, but their traditional religion is very important to them. So they still do burnt offerings, they still have sacrifices, chickens and goats. Funerals are very important to them, and the funeral rituals, and dancing and making sure people are ushered appropriately into the afterlife. And at least in my experience, I saw that was really what they value as far as spirituality. We also had traditional chiefdoms. So we had an elected government, a mayor, but we also had a village chief. And they were, the chief gets a little more respect, the traditional government does, but it is between those, all the government entities have a meeting every Friday where they come together and talk about village issues. And then it really depends on the issue, whether the elected government or the traditional government is supposed to handle it. Polygamy was also part of their tradition, part of their culture. I did not know a single person in my village that was in a monogamous marriage. My chief had 9 wives. Like I said, I lived in the mountains. It was very beautiful. People often ask me if I was just sweating and miserable the entire time, but I wasn't. It was between like 60 and 80 degrees, and we have 2 seasons, a long rainy season of about 8 months and a dry season of about 4 months. Okay, so around the village. This is about 200 yards away from my house, and this is downtown. This is the main area, and that paved road that you see is the paved road of Cameroon. It connects the economic capital to the political capital to the far north of the country, and that is it. Other than that, there are very few paved roads. It's all this red dirt here, and as you can see, that's not even a great road. There are no lives painted on it. There are a lot of potholes, so transportation is a huge difficulty there. This is my friend Usman. He was one of the few Muslims in my village, and he was a shoe cobbler. This is his little business. This woman next to him, she's just selling peppers and plantains, like little piles of food. That's how I would get most of my groceries. I didn't have a grocery store. I would go to little stands like that, and once every 8 days we would have a like the farmer's market. I would go try to get my like rice, beans, peppers, my provisions for the week. And it's a very social time to go to the market.
How far is it down the road to get to the capital city? I mean, in time, not
I was about to say,
not miles.
yeah, I very rarely used distance to actually gauge how far away some place was because it just really depended on if the road was good. So it took about 5 or 6 hours for me to get to the capital on that road. And I was lucky. If you lived in the northern part of the country, you had to take a train down. My situation was pretty fortunate.
What
How
happened
about
to
a
the,
connection to the,
what happened to the dirt roads during the rainy season?
Good question. Some of them become completely impassable, and you just can't go on them, or you have to wait for a few hours after it's rained before you can go on them. Luckily and unluckily, there weren't a lot of cars in Cameroon, and our main form of transportation was motorcycles. We didn't drive them, but there were people around Cameroon that they were like a taxi service. So they'd ride their motorcycle, and you would get on their motorcycle, and they would take you somewhere. And that worked out better for how poor the roads were because it was easier to maneuver. But there are some places that during rainy season you just can't go. So there are a few little more shots of my town. This is from the other direction. My friend Usman, he also worked at a little boutique that made eggs, and I would eat there pretty often. This is the boutique. And like I said, he was maybe one of 3 Muslims in my town, but they were very devout to their religion, and they built a little mosque right here. So I know it's hard to see, but that's actually Arabic.
were you the only Peace Corps person around, or did you have supportive connections?
In my region, I had 23 people, so those were all people I could get to within a day. And then I had a postmate who lived about 2 miles away from me in technically a different village, but we were very close, so I saw her a few times a week. Right, and this is a little stream by my house, and during dry season, if the water pump was broken or locked or somehow unusable, that is where I would get my water. That's where a lot of Cameroonians, a lot of people in my village would get their water. And as you can see, it's not very clean.
Did you have to boil it to drink it?
I did. Peace Corps gave us really nice water filters, but if I was using water like that, I would double treat it. So either boil it and then filter it, or add a little bit of bleach and then filter it.
Did you check for parasites when you came along?
Yes, and halfway through my service, and then they give you just a bunch of medicines to wipe them out just in case they miss something on the test.
Did you experience it?
Probably, but not diagnosed. But I did have some stomach issues where I just took medicine and it luckily got better. I did have a parasite in my foot that I had to cut out. But that one I'm sure about. They're called chiggers, but they're not like American chiggers. They lay eggs in you. It's kind of gross. Yeah, that was a few months in, and I was like, what have I signed? But it wasn't that bad. I'm tougher for it. Okay, so my house. A lot of people wonder. Yeah, a lot of people are like, did you live in like a mud brick house? Did you live in a straw hut, like in a banana tree? But my house is actually very nice. So it's actually a village nobility who made some money. He lives in Canada now, but this is his village house. So he heard that Peace Corps volunteers coming. He let me stay at his home. So that was actually divided up into 2 apartments, and I have an apartment in it. I live behind this big gate in a compound, which is pretty common for most Cameroonian homes to have a gate around it.
Did you have barbed wire and glass?
I did. Yeah. I shared the compound with another family, so that's their house, just like right across the courtyard. I don't know.
So you had the whole house to yourself?
I had a smaller apartment in that house, but nobody was living in the other apartments, so it was just less space for me to clean. It was nice. So like this is my living room, and because it's this guy's house, I inherited like a 9-person dining room table and like a 10-foot long buffet and a china cabinet, but then didn't have anywhere to
Is
actually.
that your outhouse in the, down
Yeah, and so this is our latrine, which during dry season is where I would go to the bathroom because I did not have running water in my house. And during rainy season, it's okay. Like access to water is a little easier, but during dry season, I have a toilet, but I'm not gonna pour water down my toilet when I barely have enough to do my laundry. So this, and I shared this with the family in my compound. And then I had a gas stove that I used with like a propane tank that I could refill. So that was very nice. Most Cameroonian families, that's just not economical, especially because they're cooking in such large quantities. So my neighbors, this was their outdoor kitchen. At night I would go sit over there and talk to them, and then they would feed me, always. And you can see like, this is inside the kitchen, some of the bigger pots, like the little benches and stuff. They just burn bamboo and wood, and that's how they prepare most of their food.
Alice, what's the little trench in front of the latrine?
That's around my house, and that's for rainy season, just because it would wash everything out. So, yeah, that's probably like 2 feet deep, and it'll fill all the way up when it's raining really hard.
Is your upper right on your shower?
That is inside the latrine. So
That is the latrine.
that is the latrine. It's just a hole and that rock in the corner. You just like kick it back over when you're over the hole.
It was very clean.
Yeah. It was. Yeah, my neighbors cleaned it at least once a day. But yeah, they actually, I showered inside because I had a drain in my house, but they showered just like on the other side of that latrine, just right outside.
What did they do that they were in that compound? I mean, were they also from somewhere else?
They were Cameroon, they're from my village. I believe they are blood related to the guy that owns the big house, and they were kind of acting as guardians. What they did for work, my mama, the woman, the mother of the family, sold like bread and beans and coffee at a little boutique at town center, and the husband drove a motorcycle taxi and hunted rat. Rat was our village specialty, so it actually sold for a pretty good price. Okay, so food. Actually, that was a lucky segue. Yeah, so my village specialty was rat. I did eat rat a few times. Other than that, though, I really didn't eat too much exotic weird stuff. This is a really popular traditional dish. This is like corn flour that's boiled and then wrapped in a banana leaf and steamed, called couscous. And then this is a palm oil sauce. And they gave me a fork, but you're supposed to just eat it with your hands. And this is fried bean patties. That's manioc root or cassava, sorry. And this is poisson braisé, and it's just a grilled fish. That's the whole thing. I would eat like from here down, but a Cameroonian, like all of it, like head, eyeballs. You would see nothing on the plate. You know, it actually tastes pretty good. I never finished an entire piece because after a few bites, I would just be like, "This is a rat, and I can't finish it." But the taste was not bad.
How big a rat is it?
They're like field rats, so they're about like this big, and it was just amazing because we're, like I said, we're right on that main road, so we serve as kind of like a truck stop. And when I would travel to other places in the country and say like, "Oh, I'm from Batier," Cameroonians would be like, "Oh, you guys have the best rat, just the best rat in the country." Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Did you keep rats, like a rat trap to catch them for your, you
Um,
had help or?
they did set traps and they also had dogs that hunted them.
Oh,
So like my neighbor had 2 dogs that he had trained to hunt the rats.
interesting.
Yeah.
And did you go out into the mountains then and catch them, or were they just right there along your house?
No, they go out in the bush, as they say. Yeah, and hunt for
Did
them.
they eat other bush meat there?
Yes. I personally did not because I had an ethical dilemma with it because I never knew what was endangered and what wasn't. Rat was a pretty safe bet that it was not endangered. But you would see jungle cats like on the side of the road for sale, like monkey, pangolin. My friends that lived in that east region, the jungle side, like chimpanzee, elephant, gorilla, just like you would not. Because nobody was like hunting an elephant for its meat, but if they found one that poachers had already gotten to and taken the ivory, they weren't going to waste the meat.
Did they have any education at all about the dangers of disease that's born in bush meat?
Yeah, especially so the Ebola outbreak happened when I was in Cameroon. And I was very surprised at what a good job the government did educating the people about how Ebola is spread. And just every major holiday, there were parades or events, they would make sure to like have something posted about like how to prevent Ebola, how it's transmitted, like the kids in the elementary schools would come on and do skits about like how to counteract Ebola. And they did very similar strategies for how to battle Boko Haram. So yeah, I had a dress for, there's a International Women's Day is in February. It's a very big holiday, and a special fabric is made every year, and then people get their dresses made out of it. And on my dress, it's like, wash hands for an Ebola-free Cameroon. And then there's another one that's like, fight terrorism inside your country. Like, yeah, it's like 30% women in parliament, a notable achievement. Yeah, so it's just interesting the different ways they have to disseminate information, but it was very effective. Like even little kids would like see, I was driving somewhere and somebody had something held up, I was in a taxi and a teenager was just like, le source d'Ebola, which is just like, oh, that's a source of Ebola that he's selling right there.
Oh.
So they did have it, but then it's also, they've been doing it for years and we never did have a case, yeah. So,
The fish, were they from the coast or were they from the river?
it depends. Like this one in this picture, probably from the coast, frozen and carted in. But if they could catch something in the river, definitely would be eaten. I'll come back to this. This is a video of my friend and I eating my least favorite Cameroonian meal. But I'll see if we have time. Friends and family. So the Peace Corps volunteers and the Cameroonians in my village really did become like my family. Relationships that I just feel so fortunate to have. So in this picture, this is at the opening ceremony for our water pump, our water project. And I had worked with the Development Association in my village, so that's the chief, some of the other traditional leadership. He's a delegate in my village. That's my postmate Danielle, she's a Black American. And then all the white people are Peace Corps volunteers. Yeah, Danielle's experience was very different from mine, being Black in the Peace Corps. A lot of times people didn't believe that she was actually from America, or she didn't get, like if her French was bad and she messed up, they'd be like, you're from here, like how do you not know this? I saw her get less respect, like I saw her order taken last at restaurants, or like a Cameroonian greet like everyone except her, because they just assume that she's Cameroonian. And then on like the other hand, sometimes we'd be walking somewhere and someone would be like, she is my family, like we are the same, you are not my family. So, pluses and minuses.
Did they make her queen?
She got there a year after I did, so she's still over there serving. I have a care package I need to mail to her. But we'll see. She's very well liked in my village. This is the family that lived on the other side of the compound from me, and all of the kids. They actually have one more son who's grown and not in the house full time. And then these are my neighbor kids colored in my house. My aunt sent me a bunch of those like fuzzy black posters with little marker packs that they could color.
Yeah,
And
love
they,
it.
yeah, they went nuts. And then I told them they could keep the markers. And they were so excited. And then of course I had like 2 more children at my house the next day. Madame Alice, where's my part? I don't have anymore. I'm sorry. And the neighbor kids were like my best friends because they were fine that my French was terrible. They thought like everything I did was interesting. They wanted to teach me words in the local language. They were bored. They would just be like, "Hey, can we clean your floors and do your dishes?" And I'm like, "Yes, of course you can."
Let me think about it.
Yeah. So they were great. And this is one time I just heard them outside singing and dancing, and they were like playing funerals. So this is like a dance. This is like a dance that they do at the funerals, and they had made outfits. This might have been why I was preparing. But oh no, it says QuickTime's not available. But they have these little noise makers. They got some banana leaves and like made little outfits. And they were just doing a funeral song and dance. And they were
Did they make those clothes, or did they get them from outside the country?
those clothes definitely they got from outside the country. It was pretty easy to find like secondhand clothing, and actually this gray dress that I'm wearing right now, I bought over there like in a pile of clothes off the street, and it was $1. It's like pretty inexpensive. Yeah. Okay, so I don't talk a ton about my work because I really do think it was like the least interesting part about my experience. But people do want to know what I was actually doing over there. So when I wasn't doing the cultural exchange stuff, I was an agriculture volunteer. The project I'm most proud of is this water pump with the Development Association in my village. I found funding and we managed the construction with a local technician to install that water pump, and that is the only public potable water source in like a 4-kilometer radius. Before that pump was installed, one of my friends who lives maybe 2 to 3 miles away from me, she like came down to my house and very common in Cameroon, just wanted to stop by and say hi. She's like, "No, I'm just here to greet you. Like, how are you? How's your day?" I'm good. And I was like, "Michelle, like, what are you doing all the way down here?" She's like, "Oh, I came to get water," and she just had walked all the way down to get 1 jug of water. Yeah, so still far from perfect, but that was a very, very big deal, and they were very, very grateful.
How deep is it?
Oh gosh, how deep did the technician end up going? Let's see, like 60 meters.
So how do they dig that? How do they
Um,
dig down
They did have a machine that they got out there. This is another thing that's tricky, like all that construction has to be done in the dry season because when it's rainy season you can't get the machines up there. So they did have a machine that bore the hole, but they also had manual labor to do it too. So it was a task.
Did you have any experience with water issues or agriculture before you went?
A little bit of agriculture experience. I was an environmental science major, so I had taken classes on soil fertility and ecology and things like that. And then done some gardening part-time. Water, absolutely not. I got over there and it was just biggest need. It's what everybody said was their biggest concern. And so I figured out a way. Luckily, I didn't have to be an engineer. I just had to kind of manage the funds and the timeline, and that was something I had experience with. I taught beekeeping workshops. That's another thing I had no experience in, but people wanted to learn, so I found Cameroonians that were willing to help me teach it. My program managers were really good in Peace Corps, gave me a lot of resources, so that's something I educated myself on, and then would bring in Cameroonian beekeepers that already had experience that could give them practical advice, and I would walk through like biology basics and project planning with them. Soy cultivation and transformation. Soy, that was one of my favorite things because it was really easy to grow over there. You can turn a really big profit, and there are a million things you can transform soy into. So, milk, yogurt, tofu, flour, oil. It was great. We call all those income generating activities. So this is one of me teaching like a group of teenage girls how to dye fabric. So they could like buy something cheap at the market like this, dye it, and then resell it for more of the price. And I put and whatever else because I was not given like a 9-to-5 job. They put me in my village and they said, you have 3 months. For your first 3 months, all you need to do is walk around and do a community needs assessment. See what the community wants, see what they need, interview people, take surveys, compile that into a report, and then we had a in-service, and after that, we started our projects. So that meant I would have huge lulls where nothing was going on. I'd have 2 weeks in my house, just, teaching myself how to play guitar, which is not, you think like you're gonna join Peace Corps and be busy all the time, but that was not the case. And then sometimes just weeks where it was like night and day, no sleep, like hurrying up to get a project finished. I did some school gardens and some example gardens. This is me and some school kids making organic fertilizer. But yeah, they asked me to teach English classes, and I was like, okay, I'll teach a bunch of English classes. So really whatever the community wanted and I thought would be sustainable. This is me. Let's see if this will play. I look on the videos. This is at the opening ceremony for our water pump, and I gave a short speech in the local language, and then the women got up and sang and danced. So when you join Peace Corps, you agree to your 10 core expectations, and the 10th one is to represent responsibly the people, cultures, values, and traditions of this country and community to people in the United States, both during and following your service. So that's what I'm here doing today. This is my chief cleaning me. And this is a traditional secret dance they do at funerals. These masks are made out of horsehair and seashells, and nobody knows who the actual dancers are. And then this is the medicine man in my village. I got a traditional blessing before I left. That's a little bit of Cameroon.
You said that somebody else came over to your village a year after you.
Actually,
Were there 2 of you there when you came? Was somebody else already there?
somebody was there, and she left 7 months into my service. So I had a few months where I was the only one. But for the most of the time I had at least one other person there with me. So this is my postmate Danielle. She's from Indiana. She's still over there. It's our friend Justine. That's Renee, the delegate, who's photo bombing. So there's my email address if anybody has any questions after this.
How far do people have to go for medical care?
It depended on what the issue was. So we had a health center in our village. We had a few actually. So that was easy to go to if you had to deliver a baby or you had malaria, something like that. That was easy to treat. If you needed antiretroviral drugs for HIV or a surgery, that would have to happen in the regional capital. Surgeries in the national capital. But some things, there wasn't an MRI machine in the entire country, so if you have a lot of Peace Corps volunteers that had major issues would be flown to Morocco. So it really depended on what you
So there was a
needed.
midwife in the town.
Yes. We had a few doctors and nurses, a health center, but it's not perfect. I mean, there's no running water even at the health centers, and all open air, cement floors. Electricity is on about 80% of the time, so any vaccines or medicines that need to be refrigerated can't be used there. But yeah, it's.
How many people have a refrigerator?
I don't know. A lot of those businesses, like on the town center, would have like giant freezers that they would sell fish out of, or like yogurt. But as far as individuals, one person, and then one person in my Postmates, she had a fridge, but
Did you?
I didn't know.
Can you talk a little bit more about the Boko Haram part and how that affected the state?
Yeah, so I mean, Boko Haram made the price of my onions go up a little bit. That was like the most effect that I had where I was in our village. Because Nigeria put in a lot more enforcement on the border, we saw the price of some goods go up because it was just harder to transport everything. My region did. I was not in a Muslim part of the country, so they weren't trying to recruit out of where I was. I never felt unsafe or threatened by Boko Haram. In the northern country, we actually did close a region. One region closed right before I got there, the February before I got there, and one region closed during my service because the threat of Boko Haram was just too great. And it was really the volunteers that were in the region that got closed, the north region. It was very frustrating because even before it was shut down, it was like, you're not allowed to do any events that center on women's empowerment. Like, you're not allowed to do any events where you're going to have more than 20 people in one place. Because they didn't want to create something that was a target. That really limited what people could do, and it was very frustrating for them. One of my friends, a fellow volunteer who was in the north, she got evacuated, and she got a call while she was just like in her transit house waiting to find her new village. And somebody from her old village was like, oh yeah, your work partner, so-and-so, just up and joined Boko Haram. And this was somebody that she had personally worked with on projects. But because of threats, because of monetary motivation, people do join Boko Haram. Security got a lot tighter while we were there. Even taking the buses from where I was, the capital, would be wanded down, have our bags searched. But other than that, like I said, I never felt personally threatened. My chief did come back. It was about a month before I left, and he was speaking because he lived in the capital, but he would come back occasionally for meetings. And he was telling all the other village elders. He's like, I know we like to think that we're safe here in the West and that we're the strong Bamileke, but we can't think like that. Like, if you see somebody acting strangely in village, you need to come to me. We need to approach them as a group. Like, you don't want to approach someone that you think is dangerous and have them hurt you. Like, so don't go to them directly. Come to me and we'll formulate a plan.
Is the daily lifestyle pretty democratic, or are there social distinctions, clans, et cetera, that make for inequality, or is it like the United States, or is it quite a bit different?
There are still stereotypes based on your ethnic group, but I overall thought it was a lot more tolerant. Like, nobody really spoke badly about the Muslims in my village. They didn't speak badly about the Christians. The government recognized both Christian and Islamic holidays for everything, and that was fine with everyone. I don't even think this would fly in the United States. There are some stereotypes, there are some jokes, but for the most part, I found it very peaceful and was very impressed with how well people got along despite their huge cultural differences.
What about the role of women?
Being a woman was terrible. Being a woman was the worst part about being over in Cameroon. Yeah, it was, women were not seen as equals at all. And that, not even just that men would meet me and say things like, oh, like, it's great that you want to do this project, but you're a woman, like maybe you could get a man to help you. Not even just them like proposing marriage when they saw me, or like, you know, government officials.
You got proposed to?
Probably every day.
Oh, wow.
Or proposition.
Yeah. Oh, are you married? Oh, like you didn't even ask my name. You literally saw me and asked if I was married. So it's not even just the overt stuff like that. It's women not realizing their own potential. Like you'd be sitting in a group full of women, or like young girls, who would say like, but men are more intelligent, like, or I cannot argue with my husband, or like I cannot run my husband's, I cannot run the household finances. Like I'm a woman, I can't do that. Like the Bible says we're less than. Like, and that was very disheartening. Was not even just like the overt oppression, but women just honestly like believing it and accepting it.
So what is your
Relation to
role?
what you were allowed to say in response to that?
So like if I was being like sexually harassed.
No,
or-
I mean, if you were in a group of women and they were saying, we can't do these things because we're not as smart as men, were you allowed to just respond, yes, you are?
Yes, and we did, and that was
You told them about how women are in America.
yes.
Which part?
And yeah, I mean, I over glamorized it a little bit, but I was like, you know, in America, if your boss like touched your butt, they would be fired, and like they were shocked by that. But yeah, so there was a program that Peace Corps did called Men as Partners with men and women, and it's educating women and men together so that men can recognize like what women go through. One of the best exercises that I saw is like, you divided them up into men and women, and you say like list every day what you do to prevent sexual assault. And so like the women are like, don't wear tight clothing, like don't go out alone, don't go out after dark, don't give your number to strangers, don't drink alcohol, like all this stuff. And men not writing anything. So much to the point that they don't even understand the exercise. They'll be like, oh, we need to list things that women need to do to not get sexually assaulted. Like, it doesn't even click in their head. And then they hear the women present and they're like, wow, like, this is something you think about every day. This is something you have to go through every day.
Was sexual assault fairly common?
I don't know, because like I said, I don't think women a lot of times even realize that they can say no, which is one of the things that we were like trying to help educate on. So I think it's probably a lot more prevalent than it seems. I didn't hear I heard some stories, but I think, like I said, it's much more prevalent than what it actually is.
What was the rate of HIV?
In my region, I believe it was relatively low, like 4%, and in one of the other regions, the highest one was like 12%. But again, those statistics, you never know. Because a lot of the people that might be HIV positive don't have access to health care or prefer not to know their status and don't want to go get tested. So
Is there cost to healthcare?
yes, some government jobs provide you with health insurance. Also, even in Cameroon, you get maternity leave as a woman if you're working for the government, paid maternity leave. But for the most part, it's all out of pocket. It's not that expensive compared to the United States. Like a trip to the lab maybe costs like $20, and then they'll prescribe you an antibiotic that you can go buy at the pharmacy without a prescription for like $5. But for a Cameroonian, that can just be like a complete financial disaster. If somebody gets really sick and is there for days on end, and needs higher care.
Was the medicine man knowledgeable about herbs or anything?
Yeah. So, yeah, he had a bunch of herbs. I got one plant, called it a vaccine. He didn't cut me, but he rubbed it into my vein until it like disappeared. And it's for Casper, which is like if somebody had poisoned my drink, I would pick up the glass and it would shatter.
Oh.
Apparently. And then I got a protection blessing, which was traditional scarification. It was 7 small cuts on my chest, and then he had a charcoal mixture that he rubbed into it to help protect me. I was like, hey, what's in this charcoal mixture? He's like, oh, everything. And I was like, what? And he's like, I don't know, Allison, like some plants, like bee stingers, snake head, just a lot of stuff. I was like, okay. But it was some of the stuff that he had. It's interesting. He's like, oh, like if you have asthma, here's some eucalyptus for you. Like this will help. So, some of the traditional medicine, there was something to it. The protecting me with the snake head charcoal mixture. I'm not sure how effective that will actually be, but we'll see.
I'm sure
So far, so
this was
good.
a transformational experience. Was there anything that you would codify into something you learned personally about the world or about yourself?
I learned that I am capable of much more than I thought I ever was.
Good.
Yeah. And that people are not that different.
What do you do now?
Right now, I am home with my family. I am in a production of Steel Magnolias in February in my hometown. And I'm home job searching, applying for things, and then February or shortly thereafter, I'm hoping to move on to do some work in the environmental sector.
So the women, were they the gardeners and farmers of the road?
Yes.
Primarily?
Yes, I
Did the men do much of that?
I
at all?
don't know what the men did, to be very honest.
Were they drums?
Yeah, I mean, they would have a lot of the higher level government jobs would be filled by men, but like that, there just weren't that many positions. And then like I would just see the men drinking at the bar all day, and I'm like, what? What do you do? Like your wife is running a shop or a bar, like out on the farm, or taking care of 40 kids, and you're just sitting in a bar.
Did they do much hunting and stuff like that?
Hunters, that was like specialized. I don't think every family really hunted, but there were groups of people that did hunt, at least in my village. I'd say if you're out in the jungle, probably every family had somebody that would go out and hunt.
They have like chickens and goats and domestic animals.
Mhm.
So there were.
I have a couple of pet chickens. They were for eggs, and then I got them when they were chicks, so one turned out to be a rooster. And so then like I kept them both around, but then my hen died. I was like, well, you're just a stupid rooster. Like I'm just gonna keep feeding you. What is this? So I told my neighbors we could eat him. So we did.
Are people satisfied there? You mentioned the person that owned your property had found a way out or was financially successful. Is there any of that kind of, are mostly they satisfied or are they looking for education or what, I don't know what, new politics or whatever?
Yeah, I mean people seemed pretty happy. Like if I had to generalize, I would say that the average Cameroonian I met was happier than the average American. And some of them think that they want to go to the United States, and then they're like, well, like in the United States you work at least 40 hours a week. What? How is that possible? And just kind of the rushing around lifestyle that they feel, well, thank you, Brian. One of my friends, a Peace Corps volunteer, just saw her for years actually. She's engaged to a Cameroonian man, and they're applying for a fiancé visa right now. And he didn't even want to come to the United States. He was like, no, just live in Cameroon with me. And she was like, I will not do that. Like you've got to come to the United States if we're going to get
So you
married.
gotta go to the bar every day?
I do not think that will fly in their relationship. No, he's a gentleman. He is
And
a very sweet guy.
he's willing to be in a monogamous relationship.
He is he's a very kind, open-minded guy. Doesn't speak any English. Works on a chicken farm. But
Does he have any education?
no.
Is it possible to get education that leads to them going to somewhere? If you're a bright kid there, especially a guy, I guess, would probably win a chance, but is there a way out, I guess is what I'm saying.
There are universities in the country that can afford you to get a better job If you're really well off, you can apply internationally and go to school. I think Germany actually, if you get into one of their universities as a Cameroonian, you're allowed to go there for free. Kind of like a sorry about colonialization thing. There are a few options like that, but
Do they have public education, elementary, high school, something like that?
they do. It costs money. It's about $70 per student a year, which is for a lot of families the difference between all of your kids going and some of them
So
going.
they have a choice as to whether or not to go to school?
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, if money is tight and you can send your son or your daughter to school, you're sending the son and the daughter. Because the idea is she'll marry out, that's what she's going to end up doing anyways.
What age do they usually marry?
My village, maybe like 18, 19, early 20s. In the north, in the Muslim area, I know like not unusual 13 or 14-year-olds to be married off. And in my village, that wasn't as prevalent, the very, very young.
Where was the closest school? Was there a school in your village?
We had a few different schools just because all the kids have to walk, and it was such a large geographic area. So the closest primary school to me was probably about a mile away. And the closest high school about 2.5 miles.
When you had your discussions on what to do while you were there, was being a teacher one of the things they threw out there as a task for you?
My village or Peace Corps?
Peace Corps.
Okay, so Peace Corps, their slogan was just be flexible, like you're there to do what your community wants. They didn't give me any teacher training, or at least language teacher training. Like I did not know how to teach English. They helped us with teaching technical agriculture subjects. And then when I got to my village, just people want to learn English. They just think it's great. Okay, well, I speak English, I'll do my best.
Well, we probably should call this the class, because we gotta get down to worship, but thank you so much.
You're welcome.
It was really great.
Thank you.